Hey friends, Selena Jones here, decluttering coach and grief and trauma therapist. And I wanted to talk today about the power of shame. Um, when I said I was going to start a YouTube channel, I recorded a bunch of episodes. I think I have 5 right now. And I haven't released them yet because I was reading about how do you launch a YouTube channel? What should you do for a YouTube channel? And they were like, you have to have a hook within the first 6 seconds and make sure you have a script. And so I have 5 episodes with really good information. I scripted them. I was so afraid I was going to miss, the best points. And then I realized that I do my best work without a script. And so maybe I'll release them, maybe I'll re-record them, but I wanted to show up today and present in the way that I present best. And that is to spend some time with you and talk with you like we were sitting at a cafe over a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. The biggest thing, and this is why I actually want this video to be first, because I think this is the most important thing when it comes to decluttering. It's not the steps. It's not the physical work, although that's totally helpful and we absolutely have to do it. I mean, if we're going to make a difference in our space, we have to actually put in the physical work to declutter. But the thing that holds us back from progress the most is shame. It's the things that we tell ourselves about why we don't have a more organized space, about why we have things shoved in closets or drawers or under beds. Anyone who's worked with me or followed me for any amount of time knows that this room here was my stash and dash room. If someone was coming over unexpectedly, which still gives me a lot of anxiety, it doesn't matter if my house is perfect, I would take everything and throw it into this room and then pray to goodness that they didn't think that, this was the door to the bathroom. I was like, oh, please God, no. This room was full of stuff. And when I decluttered it, I literally had to start at the door. I had to make a pathway because I just kept shoving things in here. And one of the things that I think is important to know is that I didn't come to this work because I'm naturally organized, because decluttering was easy for me. And therefore I'm like, oh, I can make it easy for you too. That wasn't why I came to this work. I was a student long before I became a teacher. And keeping my space relatively organized was a foreign concept. None of it comes naturally to me. All of it has to be things that I plan for and learn and that I execute in steps. And when I found steps that worked for me, when I realized that I could not only declutter a space, but learn how to maintain it, that's when I was like, ooh, I need to teach this to other people. And the big driving force for me is that being a grief and trauma therapist, I can talk about all of the big emotions that our clutter bring up in our life. And also the process of decluttering that can actually be quite triggering for a lot of people. So anytime that we speak to ourselves in a voice that is unkind, first of all, it doesn't serve us at all. Secondly, it's not the voice we were born with. Babies are not born with shame. Toddlers do not exist in the world of shame. Toddlers think that they have superpowers. Toddlers are convinced that they can do anything, just throw themselves into it. And when they get frustrated, they let adults in their lives know with the hope that those needs will be met and the frustration will be explained. So when we have unkind thoughts towards ourselves, that is the voice of other people in our lives. Maybe you were told that, oh my gosh, you're so messy, or you'll never keep a house like your mother did, or you're just like your mother or your father, you're so messy. We internalize these messages of not being good enough at something, and then we live them out as if it's our truth. Okay, and I'm here to tell you that that doesn't have to be your truth any longer. It doesn't matter how many decades you have been talking down to yourself, it no longer has to be your truth. And that is at the core of the work that I do. I think it's important to know that kindness Okay, kindness directed towards ourselves is actually good for our health, right? If you think about shame and stress and berating ourselves, what does that do? It increases our heart rate, right? We can get heart palpitations, we can get sweaty palms, it can make us dizzy, it robs us of vital energy, it's exhausting. And does it make you want to show up for the space? No, it doesn't, right? Your brain fills with stress hormones, puts you into shutdown mode, and then you just want out. You don't want to show up for yourself or your space. Kindness, okay? Kindness gives us a dopamine hit. Kindness is compassionate. Kindness has patience and grace. And if we saw our best friend struggling like we struggle, we would most likely be kind and compassionate. So can you think about talking to yourself like you would your best friend? Okay. Nobody else has your back like you do. And I think that's really important to remember, because when we start to retrain our brain to look for the positive, which is the small wins, right? Even if you just do 10 minutes of work at a time, this is something that I am a huge fan of because it's literally how I worked through my house. I did 10 to 15 minutes at a time. You can set a timer, you can listen to an audiobook, you can put, I personally, people that know me, they know I love dancing. I will dance while I declutter, I'll dance while I clean. I like putting music on. Just pick something small. Do it for 10 minutes, okay? Stay really focused on that one area. Do it for 10 minutes. And then whatever you get done, I want you to celebrate it. For those of you that have a very harsh internal critic that feel like you can't celebrate something until a whole entire space is decluttered, this is going to be a challenge for you, okay? But I'm here to push you a little bit to realize that being hard on ourselves and waiting till something is completely done, there's no hierarchy in decluttering, right? That doesn't make you, better or worse than anybody else. If you can only do something 10 minutes at a time, if you're not a marathon cleaner, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how I did in my home. That's how a lot of my clients work through their space. Try to reflect upon your actions with kindness. If it is hard in the moment to think kind thoughts, if our brain automatically goes, well, you're hardly getting anything done, or you can't even really see a difference, then I want you to write out on paper the statements you wish that you could hear in the hard moments, okay? And I can give you a couple starters, okay? One is, I can do hard things. Something done is better than nothing done, okay? And that's playing into the part of the, oh, well, I can hardly see a difference. Yeah, but you know what? You showed up. You showed up for yourself. You showed up for your space. Let's see. A third one is I'm allowed to celebrate my small wins. I'm not here to be perfect. That's a really important one because sometimes we don't show up for our space because we can't get it to the way that we envision it or the way that we think it should be. My house will never be perfect. My house is, I have a busy family. I have a giant breed dog. When she sheds her undercoat, it's like tumbleweeds. I'm okay with that. I can sweep them up. I had to realize that my space was not being prepared for a photo shoot in Architectural Digest. Like, we can lower our standards. We can go for B- work, right? We can give ourselves permission to do that. We're not here to compete with anybody else. We're not here to compete with our parents, with our siblings, with our best friend, with our neighbors. If people are going to judge you based on your space, then I wouldn't give them much real estate in your life. Okay? It is so important to realize that clutter is a very neutral thing. We place so much importance on it, thinking that it says something about us as human beings when it doesn't. Okay? All of the gifts and superpowers that you put out into the world, the way that you love your family, your friends, the way you volunteer in your community, the way you show up for your kids or your grandkids, everything that you've done that's good in the world was not based on the cleanliness of your home. Something that I say all the time, and it's the name of my membership program. It's you're more than your stuff. And I think that when we remove shame from the equation, when we remove the idea that in order to be a better human being, we have to have an organized house, when we take that away, it is so much easier to show up for our space. So if you struggle to tell yourself positive things, put it in writing, okay? And then put it someplace where you're going to see it all the time. I like to put reminders on my fridge. I will tape them on my fridge. But here's the thing. Our brain is constantly scanning our environment, okay? And it's looking for changes because it's our brain's function is just to keep us safe. So as it's scanning the environment, you will stop noticing that place on the fridge where you taped your reminders. But if you take that off the fridge and you tape it to your bathroom mirror, or you tape it to the front of your microwave, as your brain's scanning the environment, you're like, wait, what is that paper on the microwave? What's that paper on the bathroom mirror? That's not supposed to be there. And then you will pay attention, okay? Being positive is a superpower, right? Showing ourselves kindness is good for our health. It lowers your heart rate. It gives you a dopamine hit in the brain. It can help you sleep better at night. So why are we putting so much energy into avoiding being kind to ourselves, which actually helps us reach our goal? And we naturally put so much time and effort and energy into shaming ourselves, which makes us feel more stress. It can make us feel depressed. It makes us feel less than, not good enough. And yet that's where we're putting our energy. So that's something to think about today. And we'll see if I record the scripted messages or if I just decide to re-record them. But I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that we get to share space. And I've got so much good stuff coming your way. Take care.